Welcome back. So I got my hands on the brand new Nitecore EX7 right here. And Nitecore shipped this out to me pre-launch. So when they do that, they usually don't send a box. So I don't have a box to show you guys yet. But I know this is everything the EX7 comes with. It comes with an adjustable lanyard right here. Also comes with a spare O-ring and a 21700 battery inside. But let me give you guys a nice close-up of the Nitecore EX7 right here. And while you guys are checking this out, right down the barrel, let's talk about some of the features. Alright, the Nitecore EX7 has a maximum output of 6,000 lumens, a maximum throwing distance of 500 meters, a max intensity of 63,470 candela, and a max runtime of 570 hours on ultra low. And pushing out those 6,000 lumens are four 5-core M515S LEDs, and this is the first flashlight ever to use those brand new LEDs. The EX7 has a customizable beam pattern with 3 different customizations: a spotlight mode, a mixed light mode, and a flood mode. And everything is controlled with a single side switch. It ships with a 3.6 volt, 5,500 milliamp hour 21700 that can be charged via the USB-C charging port on the outside of the body, or it can be slot charged. It takes roughly 2 hours and 50 minutes to charge the battery from empty to fully charged. The body's made from an aluminum alloy and has a Type 3 hard anodized finish. It has an IP68 dust and waterproof rating. The 6 means it's completely dustproof, and the 8 means it's submersible in up to 6 feet of water and has a 2-meter impact resistance. Alright, let's talk dimensions. The EX7 has a length of 5.12 inches, a head diameter of 1.38 inches, and a body diameter of 1.10 inches. Alright, let's weigh this bad boy. Let's plop it right on the scale. Alright, 7.6 ounces, and in grams, that's 216 grams. And yes, I am weighing it with the battery in it and the stainless steel pocket clip on it. And speaking of that stainless steel pocket clip, that is a 2-way pocket clip, which I really like. You really don't see that a lot on Nitecore flashlights. But it's a non-removable pocket clip. I mean, technically you can take it off, but you have to unscrew it with those 2 screws right there. And right above those 2 screws, you can see that USB-C charging port right there, and it does have a rubber flap that helps with that IP68 dust and waterproof rating. And while I'm right here at the body, I'm going to give you guys a nice close-up of that knurling right there on the main tube of the body. So the grip feels pretty nice. That knurling is not aggressive at all. And the overall size of the EX7, 5.12 inches long, you can see in my hands, this is a really nice size for everyday carry. And yes, 7.6 ounces is right there on the edge of almost being too heavy for everyday carry. Since this is going to be in your pocket, I really don't like having super heavy flashlights in my pocket, but it's not bad. And now let me show you right down the barrel there a little bit better at those brand new M515S LEDs. This is the very first Nitecore flashlight with those 5-core LEDs. You can see there's 4 of them, 20 total cores, so there's 5 cores a piece, and you can easily see that right there. And these LEDs are developed by Nitecore, and since this is the very first flashlight to have these LEDs, I couldn't wait to get my hands on it and try it out. And overall, I've been pretty happy at what these LEDs can do. Once I take it outside and show you guys the beam pattern, you'll see what I'm talking about. And when I say beam pattern, I mean 3 different beam patterns, because the EX7 is capable of doing a spotlight, a floodlight, and then a mix of both of those together, which makes the EX7 a very versatile and functional flashlight, especially for everyday carry. Now let's go back to the head here so I can give you a close-up of that bezel. This is not a striking bezel, but I wasn't expecting it to be. This is not a tactical flashlight. And from this angle, you can see that slight texture on the reflectors. It's not a smooth reflector, but you can see there's a slight texture right there. And those LEDs sit pretty far in that reflector, as you can see. And the single side switch right here is metal. Has a nice little click to it when you push it. So everything here feels nice and high quality. And while I'm here, you can see it has a battery life indicator. Let me push it back on. A battery life indicator and a output indicator. Now my camera settings makes it look like those lights are pulsing, but they don't. They are a steady, solid light. Now the output setting is on this side, and that's indicated by blue. So it's low, medium, high, and then turbo. And then my battery life indicator is right here, those 4 LEDs. Each LED is indicated by 25%, so you can see I'm right around, I'm right around 75% now. And that's indicated by those 3 LEDs right there. So I do like this system of having the 4 LEDs for output and battery life on either side. Also, I lied to you guys earlier. I said everything on the table is what the EX7 comes with. It also comes with a USB-C charging cable, but Nitecore didn't send one to me, but I have one right here. So I'm just going to plug in the USB-C charging cable, and I can show you it just glows green. But that's not necessarily what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you that when it is charging, it does act as a pass-through, so you can still use the flashlight while it's charging. So it will work as a pass-through other than search mode, lumen shield, and strobe. And yes, I know I already talked about the battery right here, the Nitecore battery, but what I want to show you is it does have a dual spring system right here. That one is easily seen right there on the tail cap. And on the inside, you can see, yep, there is a spring right there near the head. So a dual spring system, love it. And another thing I love is it does come with a removable 21700. And you guys might say, that's pretty common, Chris. Why are you so excited about that? Well, a lot of the previous Nitecore flashlights that I've reviewed lately do not have a removable battery. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have a ton of Nitecore flashlights that have removable batteries, but I'm just saying the latest ones that I've been reviewing, a lot of the latest ones are all built in, so I love to see that. Also, you can see that tail cap is flat, so of course, you can tail stand it, which is always a plus for me. And on top of that, that tail cap is magnetic, so if I bring in a knife right there, you can see it is strong enough to hold its own body weight. I love it. All right, let's talk about the lumens and runtime. There's a lot of information right here. So I'll throw the graph up on the screen so you guys can follow along. I'm not going to go over everything, but you can see the very top, it says mixed light, spotlight, and floodlight. So those are the 3 customizable beam pattern modes that the EX7 has. So if we start with spotlight mode, because this thing ships in default in spotlight mode. Low, mid, high, and turbo is basically the same in all 3 modes. Low is 30 lumens, mid is 180 lumens, high is 600 lumens, and turbo is 1500 lumens. The only thing that really changes is the candela and runtime from each mode, but a lot of them are very similar. But what I wanted to talk about here is search mode and lumen shield. Search mode is 3000 lumens, has a runtime of 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I'm telling you guys right now, it does not. That's why that little asterisk is right there. But search mode is where you get the maximum 500 meter throw and the maximum candela of 63,470. And then lumen shield, 6000 lumens, has a runtime of 2 hours. It does not. But you also get 400 meters of throw and 40,300 candela. And then way over to the right-hand side, you'll see ultra low is 1 lumen. You get the maximum 570 hours of runtime there. And strobe, 3500 lumen strobe. That's awesome. But most of my time with this flashlight, I've spent in mid. That's the medium mode. I call it the sweet spot. And I prefer flood mode over the spotlight mode. So mid and floodlight, 180 lumens, 15-hour runtime, 60 meter throw, 950 candela. But you'll see when I go over the UI, there is no instant access to turbo just based on how the UI is set up. But there is instant access to ultra low. And there is instant access to search and lumen shield based on whichever one you leave it off on last. And now let's go over the UI. And the UI is just a little bit different from most Nitecore flashlights that I own. Do a single short press on the side switch right there. That turns on the flashlight, and then wait 3 seconds and do another short press, turns it right off. But within those 3 seconds, if you short press again, it will cycle through the modes. You can see it goes low, mid, high, turbo, and then off. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of that, really. I'm a fan of single short press on and then press and hold to turn off. But press and hold while on has a whole different function in this flashlight, so I see why they did it. So if I turn it back on and press and hold, you're going to see it's switching the 3 different beam patterns right there. So it ships in spot, which is right there, and it's going to go spot, mix light, and flood, and that's just the order it goes in. So there's spot, mix, flood, spot, mix, flood. And that's another thing I'm iffy about as well. I sort of wish that it went spot, flood, mixed, and not spot, mixed, flood. That's super nitpicky, I know, and maybe I'll learn to like it, but as of right now, I wish it went spot, flood, mixed. But no matter which mode you're in, so for example, if I put it on flood, it's going to have the exact same UI. Single press on, single click through low, mid, high, and turbo, and then off. So once you get used to the UI, it's pretty easy, but it's a little bit fumbly at first, at least if you're used to other Nitecore UIs. Also, there is no brightness level memory. So if I turn it on and then go to high right there, if I wait 3 seconds and turn it off, turn it back on, it goes right back to low. So it doesn't have a brightness memory, but it does have a mode memory, meaning it's going to remember if you're in spot, mixed, or flood, whichever one you last left it on. Not really sure why Nitecore did that. I would love to have a brightness level memory, but it is what it is here. But believe me, I will count that as a negative at the end of this video. From either on or off, if you triple click, it'll go to strobe warning, 1, 2, 3. There is strobe. That is very, very intense. And from off, if you press and hold, it goes right to that 1 lumen ultra low mode. Now let's talk about search and lumen shield. So in other flashlights, it's usually a 2-stage switch right here where you can half press for search and then full press for lumen shield. They switched it up here a little bit. If you want to hit search or lumen shield, based on whichever one you last left it on, you have to double press from either on or off. So double press, and right there, that is search, and then press and hold while it's in either one of those modes, and it'll switch to the other one. So right there is lumen shield. If I press again, and there is search. I know it's a little confusing, but if I double press and I last leave it on search right here, if I turn off the flashlight and double press again, it's going to go right back to search. But if I press and hold and go to lumen shield right there, the 6,000 lumens, turn it off, double press again, it goes right back to lumen shield. And press and hold to cycle through both of those modes. So like I said, it's a little bit wonky at first, but you will get used to it. And the last thing I want to talk about with the UI is it does have a button press lockout. If you want to lock it out from off, press and hold that side switch for about 3 seconds and it will flash right there. Now the flashlight is locked out. As you can see, you push the button, nothing. But if you want to unlock, what you have to do is single short press and then press and hold again. So short press, then press and hold. And there we go, we're back. All right, let's do a quick beam demonstration here. So I have it on spot mode, and I'm going to start here just simply because that's how it ships. But like I said, I've been in floodlight mode most of the time. That's just what I like when I'm carrying an everyday carry flashlight. Tactical flashlights, you know, that are spottier. You know, each flashlight has its own purpose, but that's the nice thing about the EX7 here is you have both in one flashlight here. So this is 30 lumens, right? And I'm already hitting that tree very easy, and definitely already hitting that barn over there. So I'll throw up the distance between me and the tree and me and the barn. So even in low, even at this 30 lumens with the spotlight mode, I am hitting it. And you can see that outer perimeter. Maybe you can't. I'm looking at the camera. But yeah, you can see it. That outer perimeter right there is fairly wide, even in this spotlight mode. So the spill is nice. But let's go to, it's going to turn off because I've had it on for over 3 seconds. That's the goofy thing about this UI, is I can't just push the button again to go to the next level. You have to turn it off and then turn it back on. So a lot of you guys might not like it. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, but this is 180 lumens mid, the sweet spot. Very, very nice. I mean, as you can see, the output here is absolutely perfect. And there is a airplane flying over. As always, I live near an airport, so there's always airplanes flying overhead. But anyways, you can see that hot spot right there and the spill. So it doesn't have a nice crispy outer perimeter just based on the shape of those 4 LEDs right there, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you can see what this thing is doing. Cool white color temperature. I would say it's right around 5,000 Kelvin or so. Maybe even cooler. Maybe 5600. But turn it off, turn it back on, low, medium, high. This is 600 lumens. All right, easily hitting that barn. And I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit because I'm going to go over all the modes here. And then low, medium, high, and turbo, 1500 lumens. Wow. Oh, yeah. Look at that. So even in the normal spotlight mode in turbo, this is really decent output here. But spotlight mode, you can see that hot spot right there with the spill. Now, if I press and hold, it's going to go to mixed mode. So I'm going to go through the mixed mode here, low, medium, high, turbo. This is the mix of both worlds, floodlight and spotlight. Man, it is lighting up my backyard pretty nice. And I'm looking around for deer, but I don't see any. I know it's getting a little colder, but I don't see any deer. They usually, if you guys watch my channel, you are very familiar with my wildlife back here. But there's mixed mode, press and hold. Let's go to flood. There's flood. Turn it off. Low. Low, medium. Oh my goodness. Low, medium, high. You guys see what I'm saying? Man, that UI is weird. And then low, medium, high, turbo, in flood mode. All right. 1500 lumens, just like everything else. That's one thing. It's easy to remember. All 3 lighting modes have the exact same lumen output. Just, you know, the run times and the candela, a little bit different. But now let's go to, I think I left it off on search mode. So if I double press for that 3000 lumen search mode, I'm going to start right there at the barn. Double press. There we go. There's the 500 meter search mode. Wow. Easily hitting those background trees right there. And we're going to get about 30 seconds on search mode here. And it's an abrupt step down. Very abrupt. So if I just leave it here and pointing at this barn right here, it's not going to gradually step down. It's just going to be one cutoff point, and that's it. And it goes down to right around 1100 lumens. You guys saw my my lumen test. So it goes from right around 28 to 2600 lumens, right around there, and it steps down to right around 1100 to 1000 lumens. Man, it's getting really hot in my hands. There it is. There's that break. So I'm going to turn it off, let it rest a little bit, and I'll do lumen shield. I'll be right back.
A few moments later.
All right, I'm back. I let it rest for about 2 minutes, so it's not as hot. Double press, there's search, and then press and hold. There is the 6000 lumen shield right there. And yeah, it's definitely bright, but you're not going to get much time here at all. Right around 40 seconds of lumen shield. So let me kind of step around here. I never do this. Oh, there it is. It's already stepped down. Maybe I didn't let it rest long enough, but regardless, you're not going to get much time. But you guys saw just what that lumen shield can do. And I say this all the time, the LED technology has advanced so much. The cooling technology hasn't had time to keep up with it. Hasn't had any time to keep up with the technology, the leaps and bounds in LED technology. So your packing in 6,000 lumens, but the flashlight itself just can't handle it. All right, let's go over a few positives and negatives of the EX7 here. So some of the pros are obviously the ability to change from spotlight, floodlight, and mixed light modes. It just makes the EX7 extremely versatile, especially if you want to carry this every day. Another pro is that removable 21700 battery. Yes, I know it's commonplace, but you never know with Nitecore sometimes. A lot of these flashlights that Nitecore puts out has a built-in battery, and I always count that as a negative. So the fact that it has a removable 21700, yeah, I'm going to count it as a pro. Also, another pro is the ability to tail stand with that flat tail, and it's magnetic. The IP68 dust and waterproof rating is always a pro, and it has the ability to pass through, so when you're charging it, you can still use the flashlight. All right, so what are some of the negatives? The first negative is no brightness level memory here. Yes, it remembers what mode you're in, but it doesn't remember the brightness level, so that's a negative. Another negative is the sort of goofy UI where it goes low, medium, high, turbo, and then off. Also, if you have the flashlight on for over 3 seconds and want to bump up a level, so if I want to go to medium and high and the flashlight is already on for 3 seconds, it turns off the flashlight. Once again, I understand why Nitecore had to do this, because you can't really press and hold on this flashlight because pressing and holding changes the lighting modes. Also, another small nitpicky negative, and this is just purely subjective, is I wish it went from spot to flood to mix instead of spot, mix, flood. Some of you guys might like that, but I sort of wish it went the way I like it. I don't know. But other than those negatives, I do like the EX7. I think it's a perfect size for everyday carry. It might be right on the edge of being just a little bit too heavy at 7.6 ounces, but the overall size I think is great. And I can't really mention the price here because I don't know it. Like I said, I got this pre-launch and there is no web page on Nitecore's website yet for the EX7. So the price, I actually don't know. But hopefully I will update my description box with the link once it's released, and you guys can click on that link and find out the price for yourself. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. What do you think of the Nitecore EX7? If you want to check this out for yourself, I'll have all the information down below in my description box. But if you did enjoy this video, please give me that thumbs up. Please subscribe and go!